I never imagined my own daughter would be the one to turn the world against me. It started with a shaky video, her voice trembling but determined, her eyes shiny with something I couldn't name. The blue glow of her phone lit up her face as she looked into the camera and said, "She fooled everyone, even me. This is my mum's real face. She's been using stolen AI code, scamming families for money. No one knows what she really does." I watched, frozen, as her words multiplied online, shared and dissected by strangers who didn't know us. My name, my life, turned into a hashtag, Hjulha Cancel Maya. Every minute, new notifications flooded in, comments, accusations, threats. People demanding answers, people demanding my head. Some called me a fraud, others sent me messages I can't repeat. Each ping on my phone was a stone thrown through the last window of safety I had left. I tried to breathe, but the air felt razor thin. In my kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator was drowned out by the noise of the world outside, by a digital mob I could never reason with, by the memory of Zoe's words echoing in my skull. Did she really believe it? Did she want to destroy me, or was she trying to save herself from something even worse? Tears burned my cheeks, but I didn't wipe them away. I just let them fall, silent, as I powered off my phone, the final act of surrender in a war I never wanted to fight. If you've ever felt the sting of betrayal from someone you love, maybe you know this feeling, the shock, the ache, the emptiness. Have you ever been betrayed by your own family? Tell me in the comments, because sometimes the person who hurts you most is the one you thought would always protect you. Before the world decided who I was, I had a name, a home, and two people I loved more than my own breath. Once my life was classrooms and chalkboards. I was Dr. Maya Carter, a woman who believed math could change lives, who watched her students' eyes light up as code became magic beneath their fingers. But the university felt like a locked room. My ideas outgrew its walls, and the hunger to build something real, something mine, pushed me out into the wild unknown of tech startups. So I traded lectures for late nights and tenure for risk. I founded a small AI company at our chipped kitchen table, just me, my battered old laptop, and the echo of my mother's stories. My mum, Yaya, had come to America with nothing except her stubborn faith and a suitcase of hope. Now her health is fading, but her pride burns hotter than ever. "In this house we make our own luck," she always tells me, voice soft and fierce. "Family dinners are my anchor." No matter how tired or broke I felt, I insisted we eat together. Me, Yaya, and my daughter Zoe. Those dinners used to be full of laughter. Now, the laughter is thinner. Zoe is 15, already taller than I am, and always somewhere else. Most nights her phone glows brighter than her smile, thumbs tapping as if the world on her screen is more real than the one at our table. I see the strain in her shoulders when I ask about school. "It's fine," she says, never meeting my eyes. Sometimes when she thinks I'm not looking, I see her scrolling through group chats, her face tight, as if she's searching for a place to belong. The outside world doesn't help. Our neighbours call my company risky, a word they spit like poison. I hear them sometimes as I bring in the groceries. "She left a good job for some tech thing. That's not what mothers do." They never say it to my face, but the silence when I pass by is loud enough. Money is tight, tighter than I'll ever admit to Zoe. I juggle bills, ration the heating, pray the funding I applied for comes through before the landlord's patience snaps. Still, every night I put dinner on the table, sometimes noodles, sometimes just toast, but always with hope. Tonight I try to break the tension. I reach across the table, smile at Zoe and say, "One day we'll build something amazing together, right, Zoe?" She doesn't even glance up. "Maybe," she murmurs, her eyes locked on her screen. The word hangs in the air, heavier than any silence. Yaya pats my hand, but her smile is tinged with worry. Maybe ambition is just another kind of loneliness, I think. Maybe I'm losing her. Have you ever felt your own home slipping through your fingers? Sometimes love is a quiet struggle, a hope you keep lighting even when no one seems to notice. It's strange how quickly people decide who you are and what you're worth. In the eyes of some investors, I was never Dr. Maya Carter, PhD, just another single mom chasing a Silicon Valley fantasy. When I pitched my edtech company, they nodded politely, but their eyes slid right past me as if the science on my slides was make-believe. A few were honest, in the way only the privileged can be. This is a competitive space, Maya. Are you sure you're ready for that? Others weren't so polite. You must be exhausted raising a child alone. Tech is a man's game. Don't burn yourself out. There's a special kind of humiliation that comes from being underestimated. I wore their doubt like a second skin, sharper on some days than others. Every polite rejection, every awkward smile, every whispered comment that single mums can't lead teams. It all piled up until I started to wonder if they were right. I'd hear the gossip on the block, but nothing stung like Marcus's voice, amplified on 1 million smartphones. My ex-husband, once a fellow scientist, had reinvented himself as Dr. Marcus, a viral motivational influencer with perfect hair and a perfectly curated online life. He made a habit of telling stories about toxic relationships and lazy entrepreneurs on his podcast, never naming me but making sure everyone understood. There are people who chase dreams because they're running from reality, he'd say, that fake laugh of his always a beat too loud. Some folks blame everyone else for their mistakes, especially after their families fall apart. His words found their way to Zoe's school, where the halls were full of kids who wore their parents' status like a badge. Zoe begged me to stop picking her up at the curb. She wanted to ride home with the normal girls, the ones whose parents wore suits and drove cars that didn't rattle at every red light. One night she stood in the kitchen, arms crossed and voice trembling. "Maybe I'm just not like you, Mum," she said. "You don't get it. You have no idea what it's like at my school." I wanted to tell her that I did know, the feeling of being on the outside, the ache of wanting to fit in. But I kept quiet, because nothing hurts more than seeing your child ashamed of who you are. Sometimes, after everyone was asleep, I sat at my laptop with a mug of cold coffee, piecing together all the cracks forming in my world. That's when I started keeping digital records, screenshots, receipts, messages from investors, Marcus's podcast transcripts, everything. My evidence vault. I didn't know what I was building, not exactly, but I knew it was better to be ready for a storm than pretend the sky was always blue. The pressure was relentless. Bills in one pile, doubts in another. And yet, somehow, I kept going. Maybe that's what survival looks like, never letting them see you flinch, even when you feel like you're made of glass. One night, as I sifted through emails, a new message popped up. No subject, no sender, just a single line. "You're not as smart as you think you are. You should watch your back." My hands shook as I stared at the screen. Who was watching me? Marcus? Someone from work? A stranger online? Emboldened by anonymity? But I didn't delete the message. I filed it in the vault with all the others. If you've ever felt the world closing in, if you've ever wondered if you're fighting alone, maybe you know that strange mix of fear and resolve. Sometimes what keeps you going isn't hope, it's stubbornness. It's the need to prove you belong, no matter what anyone else says. In the weeks leading up to my company's launch, sleep became a memory. Every day blurred into the next, a loop of code, coffee, and hope. I poured everything into that AI platform, certain this was the project that would change our lives. And then, just 3 days before our beta demo, the world I'd rebuilt began to crumble. It started with a ping from one of our engineers at 2:14 a.m., urgent, frantic. "Maya, did you authorize this leak?" Attached was a link to a Discord server I'd never heard of. Inside, my entire prototype, lines of code, architecture diagrams, everything, was being shared by anonymous handles. The worst part? The file metadata was stamped with Zoe's school email address. My blood turned to ice. Zoe, my own daughter. The girl whose world was likes and DMs, whose group chats buzzed louder than her real life. No, not possible. There must be some mistake. I rushed to her room, heart pounding. She sat up, startled, phone glowing in her hands. "Did you send my files to anyone? Anyone at all?" I tried to keep my voice steady, but I sounded desperate. Zoe's eyes widened. "No, I forwarded something to Lana, but it was just a school thing. I didn't know it was your work, I swear." I wanted to believe her. I needed to. But my code, my dreams, were out in the open, bleeding out on the internet, and Zoe was at the centre of the storm. Within hours, Twitter and TikTok caught fire. Screenshots of my code raced across timelines, and Marcus's influencer friends, men with 500,000 followers and expensive teeth, jumped on the drama. "Maya Carter's a fraud," one of them sneered in a viral livestream. "You think she built that AI alone? Guess again. She's been stealing for years. Some women just can't hack it." His fans spammed my company page, and Marcus fueled the blaze. It's always those who claim to be the most woke that end up with the most secrets. Zoe shrank into herself, refusing to meet my eyes at dinner, her phone glued to her hand as if it could protect her from the world she'd helped unleash. Meanwhile, my mother, my anchor, collapsed in the hallway one morning. Yaya was rushed to the ER, her blood pressure a hurricane. The hospital bills stacked up in the kitchen drawer. I felt the pressure in my chest, heavy as grief. Why does everything fall apart all at once? How much more can I lose before there's nothing left of me? Desperation made me sharper. I started scouring logs, following digital fingerprints late into the night. That's when I found the second betrayal. Someone from my own team had sold me out. Sana, my closest friend at the company, my confidant, the one who'd held my hand during pitch meetings and whispered encouragement, had been paid off by a competitor. I found the wire transfers in her hidden folder. Dirty money, just enough to buy a loyalty. I confronted her after everyone left the office. "How long?" I asked, voice breaking. Sana's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't mean for it to go this far, Maya. I needed the money. I thought it would just be market research." I walked out without a word, my trust splintered beyond repair. That night, exhausted but unbroken, I made a decision. If someone wanted to ruin me with lies, I would fight back with the truth, or something better. I designed a digital deepfake trap, a decoy file that would trace the hacker's path and collect real-time proof of tampering. It was risky. If it failed, the last thing I had left, my reputation, would be gone. But when you've already lost almost everything, fear has less power. I baited the trap, waited, and watched. 3 hours later, the hacker took the bait. I traced the IP, an influencer's private Discord, with Marcus lurking in the group chat, dropping hints about exclusive leaks. So, it was him. He's been behind this, every step, and Zoe was just a pawn in his game. As I prepared to go public with my evidence, another blow hit. A video surfaced, my face, my voice, but the words weren't mine. In the footage, I confessed to stealing, scamming, admitting everything. It was a perfect deepfake, convincing enough to fool even me for a heartbeat. The video exploded across every platform, TikTok, Instagram, news feeds, everywhere. Uncancel Maya trended again. Strangers called for my arrest. Investors ghosted me overnight. Zoe sobbed in the hallway, clutching her phone. "Why would you send that file, Zoe?" I whispered. She shook her head, tears streaming. I didn't know. I just wanted them to like me. I never thought it would get this big, Mum. I'm so sorry. I looked at her, this scared, lost child, and felt my anger drain into something deeper, a sorrow I didn't know how to name. Is this what betrayal really looks like? Not malice, but weakness, loneliness, the cost of wanting to belong. I spent the next day piecing together every fragment of evidence I could find. Logs, chats, the money trail, the trap results. When the sun set, I sat before my webcam, face hollow, voice raw, and hit record. Tomorrow you'll hear the truth, all of it. I owe that to everyone who trusted me, and I owe it to myself not to let lies win. If you've ever felt the whole world crashing down, if you've ever wondered if it's worth fighting when everyone believes the worst about you, maybe that's when you find out who you really are. The morning of the live stream, I felt like my whole body was made of glass. Everything hurt, the shame, the exhaustion, the memories of that viral confession video that wasn't even mine. But fear has a strange way of sharpening your purpose when there's nothing left to lose. I set up the camera, the company's logo behind me, and waited as the chat room filled. Thousands of watchers, some hate-scrolling, some silent, all ready for blood or truth. I steadied my hands and spoke directly to the lens. Before I begin, I need you to see me. Not a headline, not a hashtag, but a human being. Last night, a video of me confessing to crimes went viral. That video was fake, created by artificial intelligence. I have proof. I clicked to share my screen, pulling up side-by-side footage. My real interviews, the forged confession, digital markers lighting up the manipulation frame by frame. The comments exploded. OMG, this is wild. Deep fake. Can she prove it's not her? I kept going, showing the trap I'd laid. When my prototype was leaked, I followed the digital trail. It didn't stop at my home. It led to a group chat run by an influencer with a familiar name. I paused, heart hammering. Marcus. His face flashed on screen, clipped from one of his live streams. His smug grin so familiar it made me ache. My ex-husband, Dr. Marcus Carter, coordinated this. He paid to amplify the rumours. I have the transfers, the DMs, the scripts he sent to other creators. I saw his name spike in the comment feed, half the chat screaming, half refusing to believe it. My throat tightened. This is what justice looks like, messy and public and terrifying. But I wasn't finished. I looked to my left. Zoe sat at the edge of the frame, eyes red and shining. She squeezed my hand, her nails digging into my skin for courage. Zoe, do you want to say anything? I asked, giving her the space I never had. She nodded, voice trembling but clear. I was manipulated. Marcus made me think it was just a harmless file. He said it was for a project. I had no idea it would get out of control. And there's more. Our principal, Mr. Bowen, he was paid to spread the story on the school's network and push it to news outlets. I'm sorry, Mom, I was used, and I won't let it happen again. The chat exploded. Questions, anger, sympathy, a tidal wave of emotions racing across the screen. As the evidence stacked up, the camera cut briefly to Marcus in his studio. He ran a hand over his face, jaw set, the smugness slipping. You always wanted the spotlight, Maya, he muttered, voice barely above a whisper. This was supposed to be my moment. I turned to Marcus's image. Silence let you hurt us, Marcus. No more. You turned your own daughter against her family, all for followers and a paycheck. And you, I looked directly into the lens, imagining Mr. Bowen behind it, betrayed your students for clout. You both chose ego over truth. Today, the truth fights back. The press conference was meant to be a public reckoning. It felt like a warped family dinner. Every old wound reopened, every secret spilled with a global audience as witness. My mother watched from her hospital bed, tears shining, pride battling pain. But as the evidence scrolled by, messages, money trails, deep-fake breakdowns, the crowd shifted. Hate turned to outrage at the real villains. Zoe turned, searching my face. I pulled her into my arms, holding her as she wept, guilt and relief mixing on her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered over and over. "I'm so sorry." I squeezed her tight, letting my own tears fall for the first time since this started. "We survived," I murmured. "We're still here. That's what matters." The live stream chat broke into applause emojis, hearts, comments of support and apologies for what people had believed. When the camera faded, I looked around at my daughter, my team, the empty takeout containers, my family, fragile and battered, but still standing. If you've ever stood up to someone who tried to write your story for you, you know how hard it is to find your voice. But sometimes one voice is all it takes to change everything. I didn't realize how quiet the world could feel after a storm. In the hours and days that followed the live stream, I watched as my name began to clear, the old hashtags slowly replaced by ones I'd never imagined. Gisia AI Justice, Q Shiu Women Who Build, Hu Shin Stand, with Maya. It was strange seeing support where, just a week before, there had been only venom. A national Women in Tech Foundation reached out, offering not only a grant for my AI project, but a platform to share my story. "We want girls everywhere to see what's possible," they wrote. I accepted, not just for me, but for every girl who'd been told to stay quiet, to play small. Zoe, true to her word, made her own kind of amends. She went public with a heartfelt apology, not just to me, but to anyone who'd ever felt trapped by social media lies. "I let myself get played," she posted in a video, her voice steady, "and I hurt my own family. I'm using my account now to fight back against bullying, against deepfakes, against anyone who thinks clicks matter more than truth." She started a campaign, Be Your Own Voice, and messages from other teens poured in. Last month, we joined a live stream with national AI ethics leaders, sharing our story about deepfake harm and cancel culture. If you or your family has ever faced online harassment, check out the resources and support links in the video description. As for Marcus, his followers plummeted. Sponsors dropped him overnight. The man who'd built a life on likes and viral drama found himself locked out, irrelevant. And Mr. Bowen, the principal who had sold out his own students for clout, quietly resigned, his name buried in a short paragraph near the back of the local paper. A week later, I got an anonymous note in my mailbox. "I wish I'd stood up for you, for all my students. Maybe one day I'll have the courage." In the centre of all this, my mother returned home, frail but smiling. One evening, we all gathered at the table, real food this time, not just takeout, and laughter that didn't feel forced. Yaya raised her glass of ginger tea and winked. "Back home, when the roof leaks, you dance in the kitchen. Here, you just order pizza and tweet about it." We all laughed, real belly-deep laughter that felt like sunlight after rain. I looked at Zoe across the table. Her eyes met mine, steady, full of new understanding. "We're not perfect, but we're real and we're together," she said softly. I squeezed her hand. "I finally see your strength, Mom," she whispered. Later that night, I sat alone at my laptop, the house finally still. The grant confirmation glowed on the screen and emails from other women in tech lit up my inbox. I should have felt relief, even triumph. But there was something else, a flicker of caution I couldn't ignore. Just as I closed the laptop, a new message pinged, encrypted, unsigned, nothing but a single line. "Your fight isn't over." I stared at the screen, a mix of dread and resolve filling my chest. Maybe it never really is. Maybe the world always finds a new way to test you. But I've learnt to face it, not alone, but with the people who matter most. If you've ever come out the other side of something you thought would break you, you know, healing isn't a finish line. It's a beginning. If you've listened this far, you know what it means to have your truth questioned, your story stolen, your name dragged through the dirt. Maybe you faced your own storm, betrayed by someone you trusted, shamed for daring to be different, forced to fight for every inch of your future. But you're still here. So am I. Your voice matters. Don't ever let anyone, family, stranger, or a world full of noisy feeds rewrite your story for you. I thought I was alone. I was wrong. There are thousands, millions of us fighting to be heard. And the more we speak, the harder we are to silence. Have you ever had to fight for your reputation? Tell us below. Share your comeback story in the comments. Who knows? Maybe your words will be the strength someone else needs tonight. And if Maya's journey struck a chord with you, subscribe for the next chapter, because this story isn't over. Will new enemies come out of the shadows? Will another storm test everything we've rebuilt? Turn up the volume. Stay brave. We're not done yet.